Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel, We're the Movie Couple. I'm Wendy.
I'm Dustin.
And this is our non-spoiler review for Abigail. After a group of would-be criminals kidnap a 12-year-old ballerina daughter of a powerful underworld figure, all they have to do to collect a $50 million ransom is watch the girl overnight. In an isolated mansion, the captors start to dwindle one by one, and they discover to their mounting horror that they're locked inside with no normal little girl. After we saw the trailer for this movie, I just knew, well, I was hoping, that it just looked like it was going to be a fun time. They were going to lean into this, child vampire. Well, she looks like a child, but when you're a vampire, you're probably thousands, centuries, years old. So that's not really disclosed. But that's all I was hoping for going into this. I just want to get scared. I want to be, have jump scares and just have a really fun time with the movie.
Yeah, the trailer really portrayed this movie as more of like an action horror and not really like a dramatic, really sink in to the horror and the scare and it's more along the lines of this is going to be fun. It's a kind of weird and out of the blue kind of an idea to where the kidnappers become the real victims.
Yeah. And I sort of like that twist, which obviously was revealed in the trailer, and we were kind of talking about whether or not that reveal was good. I think the reveal does draw people to the theater. If you kind of made it just like a kidnapping story, it's kind of like what makes it stand out. But I think the fact that they reveal the vampire factor, does make it stand out a little bit more. And yeah. I really like this movie. What I didn't expect was how much character development we were actually going to get in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, the way that this actually started to develop with the characters, they did a really good job on setting it up in the beginning and kind of getting you into, okay, why are they kidnapping this little girl in the first place? And the way they built the characters, I thought was really natural. And it just kind of made it easier to kind of fall into the horror that's about ready to begin in this house or in this mansion. But as soon as you walk in, you're immediately like, oh, haunted house.
Yeah, it was giving a little like actual like haunted mansion, like Foolish Mortal, a little
I expected
bit.
some booby traps and stuff a little bit more in this movie, but no, all of the horror is really from Abigail.
Before we dive into the horror part of it, I just want to say this cast, like if you take a look at our cast of kidnappers, their dynamic and chemistry and like sort of this relationship, this weird work relationship that they have with each other because they don't really know each other, but they're all hired because of their set of skills. They played off each other so well. Like I was not expecting to have that much fun where I was like cracking up at some of the lines because the delivery was just really, really genius with the, right kind of like emotion behind it. I really liked it, and everybody, had something different to offer. And then for the young actress who plays Abigail, this is, I think, my first time seeing her in anything. I loved watching her. I hope that she gets cast in more projects because her performance was really good.
Yeah, she did a good job on just portraying that eerie, creepy, and then when she was supposed to be sweet and innocent, she does that very well. But then as soon as she kind of reveals herself, she does a really good job on just kind of, one, switching back and forth every now and again.
Yeah.
But also just portraying this, she now feels the thousands of years older that she they actually don't give you an age, but they make you feel like, oh, okay, I understand that she's a lot older than she looks.
Yeah. I forgot what this movie is rated. I feel like it's an R.
It is definitely a horror. There is gore, there's blood, there's what is that called? There's foul language. I think they dropped the F-bomb.
A lot.
A lot?
A lot.
So
like, all the characters cuss.
This is definitely a rated R movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not like Megan to where it's kind of like, oh, this
light
is
gore,
where this
light
is
scares.
Yeah. Where it was kind of like an intro to horror. This is, okay, you're now able to go see a rated R movie. Let's have some fun with horror and let's have a gore fest.
The gore is like dialed up to 100. I will say for me, the scares were just okay. Like it's satisfying enough where you're like, oh, I wish it was scarier, because at the end of the day, yeah, it's a horror film. It very much exists in that category, but there's actually so much more with the story and the characters to make it a little bit more than that. So I feel like I can forgive it. Where, I mean, I wasn't going in to think it was going to be like Halloween or anything like that.
Well, I'm actually the exact opposite. Seeing how all you guys who are seen our videos before know I am not a horror fan. I feel like this actually had just the right amount for me. If it was any more, or if it was if they started to really get into like the psychedelic kind of mind stuff of horror, I think I would have started to be feeling a little bit more uncomfortable. I think it had just the right amount, and I hate jump scares. And they had a few.
They had a few.
But, you know, it wasn't too much for me, and I'm kind of like, okay, I want them to focus more in on the action, on the fighting, on how are they surviving, and not just the, she's around somewhere.
Yeah, they did a little bit of that, you know, as you would hope to get in a horror movie. But
a little cat and mouse.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Initially, when we saw the trailer for this, obviously she's, you know, a child ballerina, so there's a lot of that in the trailer, and we were automatically comparing it to Megan because Megan also dances, or M3gan, she also dances in the
and it's by Universal
trailer.
Too.
Yeah, they're both Universal films, but that one's Blumhouse. This one's under a different production company.
Yeah.
Totally different vibes, and I thought the use of dancing walked that very fine line of like, this totally works for the scene, and this is cheesy, but in a really good way. I really like that, and I also like that the actress who plays Abigail, unless they were really good about cutting back and forth between a double and her, I do believe it seems like she has dance experience, and it just made it work and made it look really, really convincing, and it was hilarious and kind of horrifying at the same time. We were watching this like vampire blood dripping down her tutu, and she's like doing a fouette across, you know.
It did kind of pay off. And honestly, throughout the entire movie, there are a lot of like horror cliches that are definitely used in this movie, but they are used well, and they're used in the context that they should be used for a movie like this. They didn't take it too seriously. They were like, they had a few of them. They didn't overdo it. I feel like they rode that line of, you know, campiness and fun pretty well to where it wasn't too overdone. You know, something that we were actually talking about on our way back from seeing the movie was, I'm wondering if they could have done a trailer for this to where they did not reveal that Abigail was a vampire. I'm wondering if there was a way they could have cut the trailer so that could have been a really cool review. Like, we know these people kidnap a child and they're in this haunted house, but we don't know it's the fact that it's the child until we see the movie, and we're like, oh my gosh. But that's just one of the things about this that is actually the aspect that made us go see this movie.
Yeah. Look, I really liked this movie a lot. I thought Act 1 and Act 2 were really, really strong. The third act was probably my least favorite, and not just because they like went off the rails and it was a complete gore fest. I mean, it was gore fest throughout the whole movie. They just amplified it at the very end, which was fine. But I think for me, it just got a little bit too convoluted at the end, and I felt like, in a way, it almost felt too rushed to kind of push everything together. But other than that, I had a grand old time. I loved how many twists and turns and surprises there are. So how you suggest that if you plan to see this movie, like, don't watch any spoiler reviews, because you're gonna do it yourself a disservice. So just, you know, stay in for the surprise. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and give our rating for Abigail. Our movie couple rating system is listed for you in the video description below. Like, I had a good time. I thought the cast was phenomenal, like, so much fun. And they all sort of understood, like, you know how we always say sometimes in the movie, especially kind of like the one that's part horror, part campy, you have to understand the kind of movie and the performance that goes along with that movie. You can't take it too serious, but you can't phone it in.
Yeah.
It's that fine line. Every single person in this movie, granted, it's none of them, for any of them, it's not their first project, with maybe the exception of the actress who played Abigail, but they all delivered so well. Like, and I think that's what made this movie so much fun to watch. I'm going to go ahead and give Abigail a check it out.
For me, as you all know, I'm not really that much into horror, but I still had fun with this. There were still a lot of things that I could enjoy. I enjoyed the characters. I just enjoyed the action aspect of it. They had a lot of cliches in there. Most of them worked, but I have to admit there were some that I'm like, no, don't do that, because it's in every single horror movie. But overall, I still had fun, so I'm going to say matinee it.
And there you have it. That is our thoughts on Abigail. Let us know your thoughts once you've seen the movie in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.